We have plenty of bags and boards. The comic shop is open 24 hours, and the honey couldn't get any sweeter. Lately, reading ASM is the equivalent of smoking 10 cigarette packs a day for the past 2 years that this comic run has been going for. But leave it up to the generic Spider-Man action pose on the cover of the comic to deliver some of the more finer points that we enjoy in Spider-Man comics. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man number 55. Spoiler warning ahead, we will be diving into the contents of the comic book itself, so if you haven't read it, just as a heads up. If you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's jump right into this story. We are just getting off the Spider-Goblin story arc, and none of that gets addressed in this comic, which is good. Leave that stuff in the past. This comic feels like a breath of fresh air specifically for the ASM comics. The story is actually very well thought out, and it actually gives Spider-Man a win. The start of the comic has Spider-Man actually on his way to a date. As we've been conditioned as the Amazing Spider-Man comic readers to really feel dread during these date scenarios, reading through this one, it actually felt pretty cool. So, Spider-Man is on a date, but he mentions through his thought monologue that he had to stop the new Stiltman from robbing the Chase building. So right off the bat, Spider-Man, or better yet, Peter Parker, is going to be late for the date. Who is this mysterious lady that Peter Parker is going to go out on a date with? Well, that's Shay, the nurse from the Ravencroft Institute that took care of Aunt Anna back when she was crazy and they had to put her in an insane asylum. Mind you, the same institute that contained crazy villains like Carnage. Yeah, apparently Aunt Anna was that dangerous. Well, anyways, Peter Parker's going out on a date with Shay, the Ravencroft Institute nurse. The previous times that Peter Parker has gone out on a date with Shay, he has been late of course, but she has been understanding. Even understanding of the fact that he just has to run out in the middle of it. She gets absolutely no explanation as to why Peter Parker's running late all the time and just leaving early, but she likes him enough to go out on a third date. And this comic is it, the entirety of it. The date begins by Shay asking Peter Parker about his black eye, since presumably Spider-Man got that black eye fighting Stiltman right before the date. Peter tells Shay, "I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't tell you." And they stare at each other in silence for 2 panels, when inevitably Shay breaks the silence and just accepts that Peter just can't talk about it. Instead of going on the direct route on how he got the black eye, Shay instead asks why he got the black eye. Peter responds with, "I take on a lot of responsibility for other people's well-being." This is when Shay herself gets really heated over the responsibility that Peter's talking about, because then she brings up her responsibility, the responsibilities that she had to do right before the date. She went into work an hour early just to get out an hour early to make it for this date, only for Peter to be late. During Shay's long rant, the waiter shows up and he's ready for, their orders. Peter, without even looking at the waiter, he's just looking straight at Shay as she's going on this rant, tells the waiter, "Not now." Peter then grabs Shay's hand and looks at her and says, "I want this. I want to be here." I thought this part was kind of funny because Shay is going off about her own responsibilities and Peter's just captivated listening to her. He's just like, "Oh, responsibilities? I totally can relate. Say more." Funny little bonding moment. I've mentioned before in the past, anytime they've brought up any dates that Peter is just going through, they haven't been going well or written well, so it just has felt like a chore to read. In this scenario, they get you very captivated in their interaction, and there's going to be some sort of interruption where Peter's going to inevitably have to leave, leaving Shay alone, stranded for a third time. This comic is written in a way where the date is actually pretty captivating enough to just continue reading through. You know that inevitable interruption is coming up, but you want our boy Peter to score. So as Peter and Shay are deep into their date, Shay notices that Peter's distracted and questions, "What is it?" We get revealed right behind Shay outside is Rhino chasing Screwball. So Peter mentions that he has to go, but this is going to be the last time he's going to be able to have a chance with Shay. Peter then runs out through the the emergency exit to end up in the alleyway, so he's able to change from his civilian clothes into his Spider-Man outfit. And as he's pulling his shirt up, he contemplates for a moment, leaving you to question what he's got going down. Now at this point in the comic, ladies and gentlemen, I was thoroughly invested. Peter Parker in his civilian clothes as just a regular guy walks up to Screwball and Rhino and just tells them to stop doing what they're doing. Rhino then asks Screwball, hey, you know this guy? And she's like, nope. So they both agree to beat down this guy. Mind you, they don't know he's Spider-Man, of course. He's just Peter Parker walking up to these villains and just telling them to stop. So they're gonna beat down on this guy. Before they get a chance to pummel Peter Parker, he convinces them to fully stop by telling them that he's on a date. And so far in the past, his dates haven't been going very well. Deep desperation, he tries convincing Screwball and Rhino that he genuinely likes this girl. Peter tells them that she smells nice and laughs easy, but he can't be with her if they are causing a commotion. Peter tells them that it's very difficult to find the right girl and he can't imagine it being any easier for villains. So Peter inevitably just ends it with, can you guys just knock it off? Screwball says, I'm on the apps too, man. I get it. If you got a good one on the line, you gotta make it happen. So Screwball and Rhino agree to end it, and they both walk off, planning to make the Rhino a dating profile. Screwball even mentions to just catfish ladies by like cropping the Rhino's horn out of the frame. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And so for Peter, it worked out. The villains just settled and they walked away, leaving Peter to proceed peacefully with his date. So he comes back into the restaurant and he kisses Shay. Proceed smoothly with their date while Screwball and Rhino watch in the building next to their restaurant. Screwball mentions that it's very sweet while she's helping out the Rhino with his dating profile. All in all, Peter gets a successful, uninterrupted date, and Screwball and Rhino go back to just hanging out. And that's how that story ends, ladies and gentlemen. So, thoughts, comments, concerns. What do we think about the comic? It was definitely a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed this one. The artwork was also very appealing. When it came to Peter Parker leaving the date to go fight crime when he saw that Rhino was chasing Screwball around, causing chaos, the reveal was actually pretty cool, but it actually genuinely felt like it was heartbreaking for our boy Peter. The moment it was Peter Parker confronting the Rhino and Screwball, I was like, wait, what? I was genuinely intrigued. First of all, as far as they know, this is just a regular guy walking up to them. So as you can imagine, they just want to squish him. What makes this a very interesting resolution is the fact that he obviously didn't confront them by turning into Spider-Man and just beating them down. I'm sure that probably would have made the problem worse. No, he actually walked up to them as Peter Parker and told them like, yo, you guys are ruining this date. Because of your chaos, I can't be with this lady that, he likes. Peter Parker essentially uses his speech 100 skills to just tell Screwball and Rhino to stop. Screwball totally relates to Peter's struggle, and they agree with Rhino to just walk away, leaving Peter with just a surprised face that it even worked. Just as Peter's surprised, I, as the reader, was also surprised. I'm thinking like, what exactly would have happened if they just pummeled him instead of just hearing him out? What would Peter have done, in his civilian clothes? All in all, this is a absolutely very good comic. I definitely recommend reading this one. What would have made this comic better, I would say, would be if Paul walked up at the end of the comic. After Peter gets back reacquainted with Shay at the end during the date, Paul walks up and just sits with them. MJ's not even there, it's just Paul. Nah, I kid, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not even think about that. We don't want to curse our good comic right now. But yeah, issue 55, it's pretty good. Anyways, that is all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.